Hello and welcome to one and all. So in today's class, we'll check out the what is the pattern of growth of Indian agriculture. So in the previous class, we have discussed about the uh, importance or the role of agriculture in the Indian economy. So in this class, we'll check out what is the pattern of growth in agriculture. I mean, pattern of growth in agriculture in the sense that what it was, what was the pattern at the time of independence, and later how it has changed. Okay, so in order to know that, we should find out what were all the features of Indian agriculture at the time of independence. So features of Indian agriculture at the time of independence. So it was not a very uh, good thing, like in the sense that the features were not really encouraging at the time of independence. So Indian agriculture was really very, very backward at the time of independence. So what were all the reasons for the backwardness of Indian agriculture? So for that, the first, nearly 70% of the farmers, over 70%, you can highlight it, over 70% of the farmers, they were depending on I mean 70% of the farmers, 70% of the people or population were depending on agriculture. So there's a too much of pressure of population on land depending on agriculture. That is the first thing. And another feature during that period was mostly the production technique used by the production techniques used were very backward. So they were not aware of the modern methods of cultivation. They were not aware of the hybrid varieties of seeds and all. So they were using only the backward methods of cultivation. And coupled with the fact that also most of the farmers were depending on rainfall because the irrigation facilities were not developed that much. So they were depending on rainfall. And all these coupled, because of all these reasons, the productivity is very, very backward, and they were not able to get sufficient amount of returns or income out of agriculture. So what were happening? They started borrowing, heavily borrowing from the money lenders, and because of that reason, most of the farmers, they were in heavy debts. So most of the farmers were in heavy debts. So the institutional credits were not developed that much. They had to depend on money lenders, and on the top of it, they were not getting that much amount of returns from agriculture. So they were in heavy debts. Okay. And another thing is that the productivity per hectare per worker were very, very low. And due to this reason, India was not self-sufficient in food grains. So we have to import food grains. We had to depend on other countries tremendously during this period of time. So India was not self-sufficient in food grains. So these were all the conditions or features of Indian agriculture at the time of independence. So there is a change. The government introduced the new agricultural strategy in 1965-66. So there was a tremendous improvement apart from introducing the land reforms also. So there was a tremendous improvement in the pattern of production or the growth rate in the agricultural sector. But still, if you see the average annual productivity, so the average annual growth rate of agriculture in India is only around 3% between 1950-51 to 2019-20. So there is an improvement, no doubt about it. Before independence, it was very, very less. It's less than 1% or 2%. Now at least it is the average annual growth rate is 3%. Still, it is not that much increase in the productivity of agriculture. But then there was a radical shift in the pattern of production in the methods used in the agricultural sector. This is mainly because of the introduction of green revolution or the new agricultural strategy in our country. So let us check out. There are some crops benefited out of the introduction of green revolution in our country. So let us check out how the growth rate, how the productivity or the production of some of the crops increased because of the introduction of green revolution in the country. Okay, so that is the second part of the growth of agriculture in our country. Growth in productivity and production of major crops. So when you talk about the productivity, so this is between 1950, we are comparing the 1950, what was the productivity and production in 1950-51 to 2018-19. So before Green Revolution and after Green Revolution. So when you talk about this productivity, wheat productivity increased 6 times per hectare, whatever it is, whatever the production of wheat was, has increased 6 times compared to pulses. It has increased only 2 times. Okay, when we check out let us check out the production of some of the major crops. So let me move on to the next page. Production of some of the major crops. How it has changed, let us check out. Okay, so first let us check out what is the total food grain production, how much it has increased. So the total food grain production, it was 50.8 million tons. 50.8 million tons in 1950-51, which has increased to 285 million tons in 2018-19. So we had a record production. Most we broke the record, and nowadays we are self-sufficient in food grain. Okay, so when you do the total food grain production, the green revolution has helped tremendously. Okay, so let us break it into individual crops. As far as the production of rice is concerned, it was 20.5 million tons in 1950-51, which has increased to 116.4 million tons. And so this is 1950 50, 51, 2018, 19. Okay. And next, wheat production, it was only 6.4 million tons, which has increased to 102.2 million tons. Other crops like maize, 1.7 million tons, which has increased to only 27.2 million tons. Pulses, 8.4 million tons in 1950-51 to has increased to only 23.4 million tons. And as far as oil seeds is concerned, it was 5.1 million tons. It has also increased to 23.4 million tons. So what do we infer from this? We can see that the tremendous increase was attained in case of wheat from 6.4 to 102.2. So among all the crops, the first position was wheat. So that's why sometimes green revolution was criticized as wheat revolution also, because the critics say point out that green revolution favored only wheat, to a certain extent rice, but ignored all the other crops. So that was a criticism also. So wheat, whatever it is, the wheat production increased tremendously. That's why the productivity also, I mentioned that it increased 6 times because of the introduction of new agricultural strategy. So the first crop that could benefit out of green revolution was the production increased tremendously was wheat. And then the second, we can see it in the area of rice. So that's why the major food grains production increased in our country. We were self-sufficient in food grains, but this is one thing. But out of all the crops, the pulses, it is the could benefit least out of the green revolution. That is again the criticism of green revolution. Okay. Okay. Anyway, this detailing we will check out later. But this is the way the production change in our country. This is the pattern of growth in the pattern of production of some of the crops in the country before green revolution and after the green revolution. So you can see that these two crops, they increased tremendously in case because of the green revolution. But in spite of that, and India is almost self-sufficient, and we have the record of we are exporting food grains, paddy and wheat to the other countries also. Okay, India has got that reputation. But in spite of that, when you compare the productivity levels of some of the other countries, our productivity is very, very low, including in wheat. Even though the wheat occupies the first place, when you check out the productivity with the other countries, some of the other countries' productivity, we will find out that the productivity levels in Indian agriculture is very, very low. So let us check out the data. For example, wheat productivity. So the wheat productivity in Belgium, it is 9,430 kgs per hectare. Whereas in India, it is only 3,507 kgs per hectare. So you can see the difference here. And next, corn productivity. So corn productivity, you compare it with USA. In USA is 10,073 kgs per hectare. And whereas in India, it is only 3,000 kgs. And next, rice. Moving on to rice productivity. In India, it is 2,659 kgs per hectare. And some of the countries like Japan, China, and Korea. So the productivity levels in these countries is about 3 times than that of India. Okay, so these are all the evidences that show that even though India is an agricultural country, even though the production and productivity increased over a period of time after independence, after the government introduced several reforms in the country, still when we compare the productivity levels in the other countries, the Indian agricultural productivity is very, very low. So that brings us to the next topic. What are all the reasons or the causes for low productivity in Indian agriculture? Okay. So causes for low productivity in Indian agriculture. So broadly, there are four different causes. So we have general causes, institutional causes, technical causes, and also environmental causes. So all these causes are responsible for low productivity in Indian agriculture. Okay. So hope you have understood that even though the production increased tremendously after the introduction of Green Revolution, hope you have understood that still the productivity in Indian agriculture is low. In spite of the fact that India is an agricultural country, the productivity in Indian agriculture is very, very low. So these are all the reasons for low productivity in Indian agriculture. So we will check out what are all the factors in affecting in each of these different causes one by one, which I will explain to you in my next class or next video. Okay. So if you find this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any doubts or suggestions, please don't fail to mention in the comment box. Okay. So until my next class, next video, take care. Bye bye.